It's all.
Oh yeah, well, I'm on call today, but they're not using it.
Okay, good.
Doesn't look like I'm gonna go fly.
Continues.
Sign in.
So how was sports?
It was good, just Massachusetts, but it's all right.
You missed the Masters?
Yeah, it was running late.
Yeah.
No,
Trying to
that's
set
that.
up a booth there.
Just about everywhere else.
That's
I
not.
know people for hours.
18 stops. 2 days.
I've been seeing them. I was gonna say, I've been seeing them.
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna go 18 stops in 2 days.
Well, we were supposed to.
Try.
Remember that big storm that we had?
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago last year? Yeah. We were supposed to be watching.
Sorry,
And
off.
the guy booked these things were coming all year. And he called me and he's like, yeah, I figured that. About Tuesday, Wednesday, when they said it was gonna be more.
Art? Dave?
Yeah, Art, Mike Rudy. Hey, sir. Good to meet you. Good. It's on the way up. Well, thank you very much for being here. Yeah. No, my pleasure. Absolutely. I mean, to try to do this for a while.
Byron Mills.
Hey, good. Yeah, well, thanks for doing that. You're at the which? So I'm the sector commander. So from northern New England, out of South Portland.
Out of South Portland,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Right down the road. Many days.
I was main emergency management and.
Oh, really? You said you were the female?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Which region?
Region 1.
Region 1, okay, good. So, I'm so lucky that you know.
I know.
I do remember him way back.
Yeah. He's not retired.
Is he really? No kid. I lost track of him. Yeah.
Hey, how are you doing? Good to see you again.
Yeah, she did after Deepwater Horizon, I think.
Yeah.
She turned 6.
Yeah, I kind of lost track. I don't know where she is now.
Yeah, I'm retired too.
Because we're getting to the age now.
Kid, a lot of FEMA guys.
Yeah, everybody told us.
Okay, let's do this.
I'm thinking about it. Let's see. A few more years, but beautiful.
Oh, man.
No, no, great. Good meeting.
It was this big. They're so good at it. How
You know, you said-
Just so everybody will know, just get ready now, we're live streaming today.
Yeah.
And it's working today, so.
That's working.
We've got a pretty good agenda today.
Did you see, we no longer have recalling the
And then
McDonald's and Sanford went away?
So, let me start here, Astrid, with you. Just introduce yourself and we'll go around.
I'm Alex Henry, I'm with Sanford EMA.
Go ahead, I gotta hear this one.
Hi, I'm Katie Hager, the Maine Cities Readiness Initiative Program Coordinator. I'm also the Emergency Management Coordinator for Portland.
Yeah, what happened with that? Tell us more.
I got more of a job.
Oh, okay. Congratulations.
So I'm still running the Maine Cities Readiness Initiative Program, which is for York, Cumberland, and Saginaw counties, and I'm gonna be posting a job very soon, hiring an emergency management specialist, to do most of the work on that contract.
Okay, it's under contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul? Hello, my name is Paul Weiss, I'm the director of the Southern Maine Regional Resource Center, which is a healthcare coalition of all the healthcare agencies in the 4 counties of Southern Maine, doing emergency preparedness, and I work with the Maine CDC.
Leo Angelier, I'm the Altman East Chief, ARRL Maine.
Bill Dancy, acting EMA.
Matt Leach, worked for York County Juvenile Fire Program.
Molly Bear, I also work for the York County Juvenile Fire Safety Program.
They're gonna be the first speakers up here in a minute.
Good afternoon, Steve Powers, I'm the Director of Safety and Environmental for Express Natural Gas with our compression station down in Elliott, Maine.
Jonathan Shapiro with the State Police.
Megan Arsenal, York County EMA.
Stephen Wallace, City Saco Emergency Management.
I guess we'll go across to you, Lori. Or,
Yep.
I'm Gary
Sergeant.
from Kittery.
Lori Ewing from EMA.
I'm Andrew Seiler, I'm the LEPC chair.
Andrew's gonna speak in a bit, talk about the EPC activities as well too, and what we're changing there.
I'm Tom Barron, York County Sheriff's Office.
He's gonna do a presentation for us today, thank you.
Dave Franco, York County EMA.
Byron Moe, Coast Guard Auxiliary. I'm the district captain for Central Northern New England.
Richard Jones, I'm the division commander for Division 2
And
in the
before,
auxiliary.
and before you introduce yourself, sir, stand up.
Okay.
Who dropped in today, was the sector commander for the Coast Guard. Go ahead.
Yeah, my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. Mike Ferruti, I'm the commander, Sector Northern New England.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for being here. All right, we'll get ready with the first presentation, Molly and Matt. So this is a presentation that is kind of like a secret from all the fire chiefs around. So I'll let Molly and Matt talk about the juvenile fire safety program that they're running.
Great. I just want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to kind of talk a little bit about our program. My name is Molly, and I'm one of the directors. I took the program over in February when Pam Taranjo stepped down and realized really quickly that I had big shoes to fill. I have a bachelor's in social work and have worked as a child case manager for about 5 years within New York County. So I've been working with children and families to connect them to resources in this county. So I figured as Pam had stepped out, I felt that my knowledge of the local programs and resources would bring a lot to the York County Juvenile Fire Safety Program. Just going to tell you a little bit about our program. Our audience is children ages 3 to 17 who are showing either risk of fire starting or a fascination in fire, or have already been involved in a fire situation. The most important piece for us to remember is that our program really isn't geared only to children who are already involved in the juvenile justice system, but also to help children understand fire safety before they get to that point. So the reasons why children usually set fires is a variety of reasons. It can be boredom, lack of supervision, lack of education, and it can also come from peer pressure from other peers, and anger and other emotions like that. So why our program is important is because nationally, more than half of the intentionally set fires are from children under the age of 18. If those children do not receive intervention, it is greater than 50% chance that they're going to set again. And once that second fire has been set, it's 80% that behavior is going to continue. So our job really is to try to get in there and provide education so that these children do not continue that behavior. Our program, the cost of our program is about $27,000 a year. And according to the Maine Department of Corrections, the cost of juvenile in detention center is about $548 a day, which is about $200,000 a year. So that's one of the things that we work on, is to try to give the safety in the home and what kind of fire safety education they're getting in their environment. In that initial meeting, we will do an assessment to see where the child is in relation to if they're setting fire due to curiosity, or if they need other services like a risk assessment to see if that is going to be a problem in the future. We then meet with our assessment team to discuss the plan going forward, whether that be referrals that need to be made within the community around mental health, or if it's management that they need, counseling, things like that. So we connect them to their community. And then we schedule that education within 2 weeks. Nobody knows what they're doing in their planners over 2 weeks. So we try to get them in to get education within that 2 weeks and get that started. And we usually provide about 6 hours to these children. We try to break it into 3 different classes and provide that education. And then once we provide that education and we've provided the referrals that have been needed, we give them a certificate of completion, and we give them information about how to provide education to their child in the future to decrease the behavior. One of the biggest things for our program is the rapport that we are building with these families. So going out into their home, creating that trust with them and letting them know that they're not alone, and that it's very common for children to be fascinated by fire or have kind of these things come up. So that the rapport is one of the biggest things that we try to work on with all these families.
I'll introduce myself. My name is Matt Leach. I came on in August with Molly. I work as a paramedic and a fireman for Biddeford, and among other York County jobs, so I've seen many of you. Molly and I started looking at the education. Pam set up a great background as far as the education goes, but one of the 3 components, and I see some of the fire chiefs that we did a York County tour on Monday of northern. Saw many fire chiefs and tried to reconnect our organization to the grassroots folks, and that's kind of our plan in the next year. So we'll be meeting with the police chief. So if you're one of those guys I see, we'll be coming to see you in the next couple months or so. The education is focused on fire behavior, then it's focused on fire prevention, burn prevention, and most notably decision making. Most of the folks or the young kids that we run into, decision making is a huge component of it, and it's very, very simple to sit with these kids and talk about risk versus benefit and talk about resultants. So it's very exciting to see these kids grow. We really focus on end goals, mentoring these kids throughout the program, and it's a relationship. So what we're doing in the next couple months, you'll start to see us outreach with the fire departments, police departments, and school resource officers. We're working to make referrals easier for departments so that folks at the grassroots will be able to give us a name, phone number, some basic information, and we'll take contact the family. We're hoping to partner with you guys and your local stuff in terms of providing the fire education at your departments or your local places and pairing with your people. So working to grow other individuals in juvenile fire awareness. The problem is not going away. I think as parents, and I don't know if you guys will agree or disagree, but parents don't want to label their child as a fire setter. So I think a lot of times behavior seen is kind of pushed to the side. So our goal is really to make and push the program that it's not labeling a child. Curiosity is 80 to 90% of what we see, but we know that if intervention in curiosity fire setting, the risk of resetting is less than 10%. So there's a huge factor if we can take a curiosity fire setter, reduce the risk, and we talk about lives saved, we talk about property saved, and we talk about that person's life saved as well. A lot of these kids don't understand what arson means at 5 years old or 6 or 7 years old. They don't understand it's a lifelong following. We really do want to thank EMA. They have been very, very beneficial to this program, and I think that will be the next step is connecting to other agencies. If Molly and I can do anything for you, please reach out to us. We're happy to be here, and we think it's an important task. Part of the process is connecting to agencies, so if we can do anything to you guys, bring education to your departments, even in our presentation on juvenile fire setting, risk, what to look for, that's really what we're here for. So any questions?
Yeah, are there any questions at all?
I know you've only been doing this a short while, but have you seen or is there any data of success, or maybe even if it's not your department, you know, like actual data that says, well, we've helped this percentage?
Yeah, and I had actually reached out to Pam recently because I've kind of gotten that question from many people. And she said that she has worked with hundreds of kids, probably 300 kids in the time that she was here, maybe even more than that. And she said that only one of the children that she worked with had actually said again, and he went through the program again. So that it's something that we can provide additional information and education to those children and families if something else comes up. And Matt and I have been helping families understand that just because you complete the program doesn't mean that we're not going to be here for you. So it's kind of nice to let them know that in the future, if they're seeing behaviors or anything like that, that they can reach back out to our program. So.
Quick question is that, I know you're focusing on target kids. What about the expansion to public schools? Because that's where you're both here.
So one of the next outreaches is the schools, and we hope, for our police chiefs in here, our in will be, our school resource officers. They seem to have a pulse on the schools. Getting into schools, we're actually working and partnering with Cumberland County. They are looking to create like a 3rd grade educational program that supports the STEM program. And we're working with them to see if that's something that can benefit our York County schools. But obviously getting into schools is an uphill battle. I think the teachers have enough to teach. And we're working to make a program that kind of aligns with their STEM program to teach fire education. Most of the kids that we see come into the program, it's lack of fire education. It really, really is. They don't understand that if, what do we teach kids with a birthday cake? We teach them that they control fire right at an early age. And if they blow on the fire, it goes out, right? Well, what happens to a fire that you blow on at 5 or 6 years old? It doesn't go out, and the concept just isn't there that they can change that dynamic. So basic fire education goes a long way. So I think the schools will be the longer term, but the intervention program is kind of, that's an after action. We are looking at the preventive piece, but appreciate it. Any other questions? Thank you guys, and ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. I really appreciate it. If there's anything that we can do, you can reach us through Art, and our information should be available online as well. So, thank you.
Next presenter is Chief Deputy Barron, and I'll let you take it from there.
All right.
This is a really good program that I've seen just a short time ago, so I think it'll be helpful for everybody, even industry.
Well, thank you, Art, for inviting me. My name is Tom Barron. I'm the Chief Deputy of the York County Sheriff's Office. 35 years in law enforcement. My previous, before coming to the Sheriff's Office, I was a police officer in York, the town of York, and spent pretty much 30 years there. So if Chief Bracey was here, I'd be able to give him a plug for...
he's on his way in.
He's on his way here. Okay, great. Because in my experience with York, it being a coastal community and a summer community, we had a lot of people in the summertime. Our population would double, if not triple, on various occasions, and we would have big events. We'd have fireworks, and obviously that brings thousands and thousands of people to a certain area, a confined area, very much. So in my experience, I've developed safety plans and traffic plans and how we're going to have the fireworks set up and what's the safety distance and all of that. So through my years of experience in structuring, safety and crowd control and plans and procedures, owe a lot to York PD. I just recently went to the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, FLETC, down in Glencoe. And I did a 2-week stint down there on mass casualties type situations or active shooter situations. A very intense program, and with the federal government, they have a lot of resources. So just to give you a snippet of my training there, they put you in a room, and you had a team that you worked with. There's 3 other people or 4 other people with you. But the room was set up with telephones, TV cameras, laptops, fax machines, and so forth. And they put you through scenarios. They gave you a sheet that tells you all about what manpower that you had for your organization. You were a chief of police, and these were all your resources. And then it gave you resources for your surrounding area. And so part of this whole thing is they're going to give you stuff, and they're going to give it to you fast and furious. It's going to come. So the phone would ring, and then you'd answer the phone, and there's a big fish concert that's set up in the next town over. So you talk to the chief on the phone, and they have actors that have participated in all this. This is, I mean, talk about as realistic as it can get, at least from a command center standpoint. So you would make all your notations, and then you would have to justify your decisions. You would make a decision, but then you would have to, what is the reason you're making that decision? And you had to put that up, and that's all computerized. So when you put it in, there's a main board that somebody's behind the scenes here looking at what you're doing. So the next thing that comes up is a TV screen comes up, and potentially your area is going to be hit with a hurricane. So now, not only you've got the fish concert, where are those people going to go in a few days or whatever? So as you can see, what they did is immediately after one thing after another, we were brought with different things and how to deal with them and what your decision making is and so forth. So just wanted to give you a little bit of history about my experience and some of the things that I've dealt with, which leads us up to today. And as we talk about we're seeing a lot of things happening out there in our world. So what I want to talk about is each one of us has facilities and places that we work at. And also, we're going to respond to. So when we talk about workplace violence, because I give this presentation to the employees of York County and to the court people, which is a high-risk facility. Our courts and schools, people sometimes are very angry about courts and so forth, and or schools, as we've seen as history as far as some of our active shooters and violence that takes place. So this is a presentation that I give to all our court personnel and all county employees, so that we have an idea as county employees on some of the things that we should be watching for and some of the things that we should be doing. So the goal of the presentation is that you will learn about workplace violence, including prevention, intervention, and response. And the objectives, we're going to define workplace, we're going to review stalking and workplace violence, and learn ways to prevent workplace violence during termination, because as we let somebody go, sometimes there's some issues that are surrounding that. So who would ever think? And these are all issues that we've seen as of recent, not too long ago. The Orlando nightclub shooting, Fort Hood, Charleston church shooting, Sandy Hook, San Bernardino. I think each one of us knows that potentially something could happen right here, right in our area, right at our facility. It very well could. So what are we going to do, and what are we going to do to prepare for helping make sure our employees know what to do, we know what to do. So let's look at, as we go through this presentation, let's just look at, what is workplace violence, because a lot of things happen in the workplace that can stem into other issues. So workplace violence is any act against an employee that creates a hostile work environment and negatively affects the employees, either physically or physiologically. Workplace violence, the person who came to commit the crime maybe has no relationship to the workplace. Maybe is the recipient of a service, and this is where we get into the courts. People are coming there because they want to be served, and sometimes they don't think their service, they are getting service. Sometimes the person has an employment relationship with a current or former employee. And then sometimes also a person has a personal relationship with a current or former employee. And I do have handouts, so as we go on, you'll be able to take something back with you. So why should we be concerned about violence in the workplace? Well, it's safety of our employees and the public. Number one, it makes good, sound business sense to have something in place and to prepare. And then also to avoid exposure to litigation, making sure that we're protecting those people in our workplace. So examples of aggressive workplace behavior include harassment, and this could be by telephone, written, or face-to-face, stalking, threats, inappropriate communications, trespassing, or returning to the workplace after being told to leave. I'll tell you about a court situation that we had. We had a gentleman that was not happy that his children were taken away from him. And this is a York County situation. His children were taken away by decree of the court. There was a guardian ad litem, a judge, there was a district attorney, an assistant district attorney, all involved in this case, along with some other people, but those are the key factors. The father in this case, who had his children taken away from him, was so distraught about this that he devised a plan to kidnap some of those employees that I just mentioned. Guardian ad litem, an assistant district attorney, and a judge. It even went to the steps to go through with it. The guardian ad litem telephone called her up, said he was having, made up a name, all of this, having trouble dealing with family issues. They needed somebody to talk with, to help him with these family issues with his children. It was very convincing. The guardian ad litem at this point said, I'm a consultant, I have my own company, it will cost you a fee. And he says, that's not a problem. Sets up an appointment with her at a house that's for sale and has been vacant for a long time. And the guardian ad litem shows up at the residence, and before she can get out of the car, this person's there. And has a shocking device to try to take control of her, because his plan is to kidnap her. So he goes through with those steps. The shocking device does not do what he wants it to do, and then he has to leave abruptly because she's able to fight. So, can it happen? It happens. This person actually put it through emotion. So, when we talk about workplace violence, that is a key indicator in a true story about what we have happening: stalking, threats, and so forth. The courts receive a lot of issues as far as people not happy. Could be probate. There's a lot of issues. So, an example of aggressive workplace behavior. So, how do we handle potentially violent situation? And this is where this is about you. This is about somebody coming into your office and or your business. How do we handle this? And this is what we teach and talk to about with the court personnel and county personnel. Number one, we all need to be familiarized with our policies and emergency procedures. And if we don't have those, obviously we need to set up something, some guidelines for what we do when somebody comes to our facility and is creating a problem, and or we recognize that we need to have some help. We also need to report any physical or verbal threats. Those need to be documented. And sometimes people let those go. It needs to be documented. Call a law enforcement agency and or make sure that it's documented by somebody, an office manager or something to that nature. But if it's anything of threats, of violence, you need to call and have law enforcement investigate. We tell people never touch the violent person. Don't try to push them off unless it's an absolute, you have to. But keep your distance. Use a calm and non-confrontational approach. Sometimes people just want to be heard. They want you to listen to them. And sometimes that might be just enough. So don't agree with them, but you can say, okay, let me get this straight. You're saying that you don't like the way this paperwork was handled, and that's why you're angry. And if they say yes, okay, I understand you don't like this paper. It reiterates the fact that, all right, I'm being heard. can be helpful. We need to take all threats seriously. Don't, sometimes we have a habit of letting things go, and what I tell a lot of people and a lot of the court employees, you have that gut feeling. If it's not right, you need to do something about it. Familiarize yourself with the resources available. By that I mean you have an aggressive person, and instead of me standing there face to face with them, I want to kind of step off to the side and use this as my barrier. Put a barrier in between yourself and them. And seek immediate assistance if the situation escalates. Obviously, we need to make sure other people are around. Domestic violence is a very serious workplace situation that we've seen across the country happen. Stalking as well. So we talk about this because that's how sometimes the violence precipitates into our businesses and into where you might be at a business. So domestic violence is the emotional abuse, physical abuse, or sexual abuse between people who have at some point had an intimate or family relationship. When we talk about stalking, there are two broad categories here. One is the unwanted pursuit by a stranger, could be an infatuation with somebody, or an unwanted pursuit by someone the victim knows, and a lot of times that is the case. But how many times have we seen high-profile cases involving movie stars and or somebody, a celebrity? They don't know who these people are, but there's an infatuation for them. And so once they get a name of a person, they attach onto it so that they can keep tabs of who that person is and that type of thing, because it does escalate. We've seen that. So when we have somebody in our office that you're noticing some of these, it's a time to be concerned. It's time to be concerned for them personally, but also for the whole office and their safety. So signs of possible victimization: frequent or unplanned leave. You have people in your office not coming to work all that much. They're changing, they're changing their job performance. It just doesn't seem like they're connected. Something's bothering them. Unexplained bruises or injuries. Sudden change of address. Depression. Eating disorder, self-neglect. Panic attacks, anxiety, drug and alcohol dependence. We need to care for our employees. We need to watch to make sure that our employees, we're picking out some signs. If they're not, something's not happening, and then we need to connect, or we need to find somebody to connect with them and or resources to help them. But their problems may develop into a problem at your workplace. So, the next thing we talk about as we escalate into things, so we had the person come to our office being angry, that type of thing. Maybe the person that repeatedly comes back, maybe he's calling, maybe sending letters and so forth. But then we have the situation of it's getting worse. This is a picture here of, in most agencies, most law enforcement agencies have practiced and trained in active shooter situations. Sheriff's Office went to Massabesic High School, which is the high school that we have a school resource officer at in our jurisdiction. We went and did a training there, multiple day training on active shooter situations. And we used the school because we trained in a place that it possibly could happen. So it was great training. We had great instructors. Every one of the officers and deputies that went through it was well informed and learned a lot, as I did. And I went through every one of the steps that they did. So, I want to show you a video now. This is a video that I believe is, I think it was done by Texas, I believe. It probably will come up on the screen. But I'm using it because it really, really shows what we should be doing and telling our employees and how we should be acting in case of a situation that happens.
Presentation.
Yeah, well, I gotta continue with just a few more slides.
I gotta shut it down because it's not working.
Okay, not a problem.
Why, I don't know.
It's not showing. You can hear it, but you can't see it, can you?
You had it up before.
I know I did. But it's not showing, show my desktop, like that.
Might be on the second screen.
Is it on the? Minimize one screen, see if it's fine.
Yeah, get rid of it.
And when you left my office, I got an email about an fire center.
Yeah, it's not showing.
Yeah.
Should it open?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not coming up.
Well, let us know. Honestly, that comes from Crystal.
I think maybe let's try to activate it under the,
Yep.
But yeah, slideshow. First meeting or yeah, so you can write this up. Okay, cool. You have it on there? Is it?
oh, you got it here?
Okay. But I can't, it's not coming it's on my desktop, but nothing else. I don't know why it's not coming over here.
You're right.
What's the name of that drive, Alexa? Got it. Still not showing.
Get my break. No.
The situation changes.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not showing, it's not showing anything, it's just my background.